Hi, I'm Ernie Zor, and this is Puritas Spring Software's 40-second frequently asked questions video. It deals with what we call the default file. I'll be using the probate application that you see on the screen right now, but all of our applications have default files, so what you'll see in this video applies to all our apps. There's a bonus. Many apps like Microsoft Word have files very similar to our default file. They just call them something else. In the case of Word, I believe the file is called normal period dot. I think the dot, the DOT, stands for document template, if I remember correctly. Our goal is to keep these FAQ videos to 10 minutes in length. We go over sometimes, but this should be one of our shorter videos, so let's get started. The default file, first of all, is like any client file you might create in the course of using the program. What's different about it is that it's a ghost file of sorts. You usually don't even open it. Instead, the application opens it automatically in two instances. One, when you start the application, like I just did now. I started it up. I haven't touched the keyboard yet. I just double-clicked on the icon to start it up, and that's what you see. This is actually the default file. Let me put it this way. It's a copy of the default file. And two, so this happens when you start it up, but it also happens when you click on the new command on the file menu, or you click on the new button over here. The ghost part is that when the app opens the default file, it merely uses the contents of the default file to seed a new file, a new empty file. After that happens, the default file is released, so to speak, and the new file is given the name Untitled because the new file doesn't have a name. Makes sense? And if you try to save it, the program will actually do a save as and make you give the file a legitimate name. And let's see what you see on the screen. Okay, see at the top here it says untitled.bp8. And that is indicating that it doesn't have a name yet, just like I said. All right. There's more to say about the default file, but that's not the purpose of this video. We already have a video about the default file and how you can edit the contents of it and how to use it and all kinds of good stuff. It's another very short video, and in our FAQ series, it's video number 3. So check it out, because the default file is there for your convenience, and you should be familiar with how to use it to your advantage. This video is about having multiple default files. Quickly, I'm going to set up a default file by doing what I said you usually shouldn't do, and that's open the default file. Watch, I'm going to open the default file. Hopefully. Oh, things are going a little slow this morning. I'll alphabetize them, get the default file. All right, and this is a blank file, but if I were actually using this in my law practice, well, the name of the estate, maybe we always have the same judge. I might put, this is the subtitle line. It might say, whoops, well, I'm not doing too good this morning. And down here, this never changes, maybe in the county, so I can put that name. Should copy and pasted it, huh? Whoops. I'm trying to type fast, not doing a good job. Maybe 90% of what I do is in Putnam County. Case number always changes. The court address is always the same, though. So you get the drift of what's happening here is that I'm typing in the fields that never change from one probate to the next. Now watch what happens. I'm going to click on Save. That saved the default file, okay? What does that actually do? Well, you saw before when I clicked on New, a blank file came up. And that's going to happen again, only this time, because the default file has a couple fields populated, when I click on New, It rinsed the system clean, it read back the default values, and if you look up in the corner there, we're not even in the default file. We're in a file with no name. You see Untitled there at the top. Anyway, so actually there's a lot more that can be filled out in a probate. Stuff on the general information worksheet, like the attorney. You know, the reason you've got the probate program is you're doing them for the same attorney usually, or maybe you have several attorneys or whatever. But anyway, these files, not these files, these fields would all, in the attorney section, would be filled out. Applicant always changes, so does co-applicant, so does survivorship. That's probably all that we would want to fill out on the general information worksheet. But one of the interesting things about it, though, is that every page, every field on every page can be set in the default file. So just to give you perhaps a bad example, if you were doing a relief from administration and you always said, well, you know, 10 out of 10 times we click this one checkbox. Hey, go in the default file, click that checkbox. Every time you do a relief from administration, that checkbox will be checked, and you don't even have to bother with it. Okay, here's what I was going to add now is if you can't see the potential of this default file, then you really need to view FAQ number 3, because that explains it, I think, in more basic details. If you do see the power, that's great. That's the first step to enlightenment. But why would you need multiple default files? I'm going to tell you that right now. But first, know that there can only be one default file. And so the question I was going to answer is, well, why would you need more than one? Well, let's say that you worked for 2 law offices in 2 different counties, or you worked for 2 different attorneys, or whatever. What you can do is have multiple default files. And the way you could do that is, like, right now we have a copy of the default file for Putnam County. Okay, let's say different judge. Yikes, got to change these things, huh? Sam Justice. Not much imagination showing through here on picking the names, making them up. All right, and this is in, I think there's a Morrow County, and Main Street always stays the same from one city in Ohio to the next, so we'll leave that the way it is. But here's what I'm going to do. Watch. See, because it says Untitled, it already knows that I haven't named it. So I could name it by going File, Save As, or I can even just click on the Save button, and it should recognize I haven't done that. And let's call this Morrow County Default. All right. Saved it. Okay, I'll do a new. It's going to read the default file. Gives me an empty file with the Putnam stuff in there. But let's say that I wanted to, I'm going to do one in Morrow County now. So what I could do is just click on Open. Whoops, it was right there. I moved away from it. There we go. Morrow County. All right. Exactly like having a Morrow County default file. The difference is, and this is a big difference, you see the name at the top is Morrow County Default. As soon as I do what I just did, I want to get the heck out of that file because I'll be modifying the Morrow County default file if I happen to click on Save intentionally or even accidentally. So what I want to do is I want to go to File, Save As, and say this is the sample, Joe estate. Save it. Now you see it's changed its identity. This is the file now. And what I did is I used my Morrow County default, or template if you will, to seed this new file. And like I said, I'm just doing a couple here at the top, but every field on there's 150 pages, I think, of probate forms in here. Every one of them can be done. In fact, years ago, I think someone sent me, and then I never even thought about this, they had defaults, I believe, set up for the worksheets, not the general information worksheet, but the asset and the expense worksheet and things like that. It was kind of cool. They had, yeah, anyway. Oh, hey, there's the music. That's my cue to wrap it up. Someday I'm going to sing the melody that goes along with it. No, I won't do that. That would be a bad idea. However, I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned a new trick. Hey, after all, that's the purpose of these FAQ videos, is to learn new tricks. So thanks for taking the time out to watch. I sincerely appreciate it. And until next time, stay healthy and happy. I wish you all the best.